We're live. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Nerd Out Sports. It's Rob and Donald, and we got our Week 5 preview here. Giants and the Packers across the pond in London. Giants 3-1, Packers 3-1. A game that not many people give us a chance to win. Donald, what are you thinking going into this one?
I don't think it's impossible at all. I don't think the Packers are the same Packers as they were even last year. They kind of got a lot of questions at receiver. Rodgers really misses Devontae Adams, so I mean it's not impossible, but their defense is pretty stout. And Rodgers is Rodgers. But listen, if we're competitive and we give the Packers a hell of a game, I mean that's my expectations. I'm sure we will do that. And I really don't know. I mean, obviously we're heavy underdogs, but I mean, listen, there's no reason why we can't give them a hell of a lot of headaches, especially because it's on neutral ground. If this was at Lambeau, then I would say the Packers are going to take it. But in neutral ground, it can happen. Anything can happen. I think we might be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting a win, but I'm expecting a good fight. We don't know how healthy Jones is. He should be playing, but we don't know how that ankle is. We do know who's not playing, and that is basically our entire receiving corps. So it's going to be very difficult for the Giants to move the ball if it's not Saquon Barkley. Who are they going to go to? A lot of quick throws to the tight ends, Bellinger, Hudson, Myrick. Can't really expect too much from guys like Sills or Slayton because they didn't do anything last week. Richie James is still our top receiver. So anything that we do offensively is going to be on Saquon Barkley, and maybe we use more Matt Breida this week. Maybe we try to feature Gary Brightwell potentially, something different just to get a couple of different looks in, because if Jones isn't able to run the way he was last week with that ankle, and he probably won't be able to, they're going to have to rely heavily, almost exclusively on the run game. We thought last week was exclusive running game. This week might be even more of an exclusive running game.
I know, it's crazy, right? First of all, shout out to Alex in the chat. Thank you very much, my man. Also, shout out to Rob. These graphics are looking pretty badass. We're getting pretty up to date here at Nerding Out Sports. We're starting to look a little bit like a badass podcast now, so that's really good. Thank you very much, Rob. And listen, man, anything can happen. London games are always kind of a bit of a ceremony. I've been to London during one of the Jaguars games, and there's a lot of pageantry. There's a lot of things going on. So hopefully the Giants get kind of caught up in the atmosphere and just kind of give it their all and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, we're 2-0 in London so far, so maybe that'll help us. Like you said earlier, neutral ground. You don't really know. Anything could happen at this point. You know, it's not going to say that we're going to stop Aaron Rodgers completely, but he doesn't really have a lot of receivers to throw the ball to, like you mentioned before. However, our secondary is kind of depleted right now. We did add a little insurance with the returning Landon Collins. Alex says Green Bay struggles with their linebackers against tight ends. Bellinger, Hudson will be the lead receivers. Yeah, I mean, they kind of have to be at this point.
They already are anyway.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect much from the receivers at this point. It's going to be tight ends and running backs. If we're able to put a couple of touchdowns on the board, I'd be pretty satisfied. And if the defense can keep Rodgers from beating them on third down, which has been our strength, then maybe we're able to pull out a kind of another close down to the wire victory.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see how our new linebacker core handles them, because their run game is the only thing that really concerns me. Dillon and Jones are pretty darn good, so I guess if you're to name like their main strength, it would be that. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, but if Aaron Rodgers struggles to find people getting open, then that helps us a lot. I mean, obviously, Dubs is okay. I liked him coming out of the draft. He's certainly been seeing some more targets of late. It's kind of up in the air, like Lazard, etc. But nothing that overly concerns me at receiver for the Packers.
No, their running game is what we need to focus on. Hopefully we have Leonard Williams back because he's questionable right now. At least as of yesterday's report, he was questionable. So maybe if he plays, that's going to be a huge boost because we've been struggling in his absence to stop the run a little bit. So we need him because the Packers have two really good running backs out there. And a shout out to Tony Clark. Thank you for popping in. Hopefully Leonard Williams is good to go. He seems to be practicing almost every day, and just whatever he can give us in the run game is a boost because we need it. And if we're going to get some pressure on Aaron Rodgers, we're going to be missing Azeez Ojulari. He's been ruled out. Jihad Ward, he's good against the run. So if we're going to beat the Packers, it might have to be stopping the run game first. But this is the first time all season we're going to say, we got to let the quarterback beat us. I don't want to take that chance with Aaron Rodgers because even though his receiving core isn't great as it was in the past, it's still Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to be tested. We're going to be tested this week. And if the Giants win this game, they're going to have to keep it low scoring. Our strength is stopping the run and getting the other team off the field on third down. We got to do that this week, and we got to get them off the field quickly.
So let's first of all, before we get into the injury report, etc., let's touch on Landon Collins returning to the Giants. What do you think he's going to offer us, and are we going to play him mostly at safety or linebacker or both? What do you think?
I'm not sure, actually, because I know he didn't want to be linebacker in Washington. However, I don't think he would have signed with us if Wink didn't have a plan for him. However, Wink has always said this is a positionless defense in a sense. So, I mean, at this point, we need the secondary help right now, at least more than we need the linebacker help, because I think Jalen Smith did a fine job last week.
Great.
So maybe we see him a little more at safety. However, Julian Love is supposed to play, so they could mix and match. Maybe they put him in the box, although McKinney is really good in the box. So you could see more Collins at safety with Julian Love, and McKinney drops down. They could put Collins down in the box and put McKinney out at safety. So they have options. I'm excited because I really liked him back. I liked him back when we had him. I was upset to see him go. And I'm glad he's back. I just, at this point, we didn't really have much of anything in the secondary, so he can't be a downgrade from what we had. He can only be an upgrade as far as I'm concerned.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. It is good to see him back. He looks particularly happy that he's back. I see him used as more of a linebacker, considering that's probably our greatest need right now. But you're right. It's a kind of positionless, I think. Tate Crowder certainly made a name for himself after a very good previous game, and Jalen Smith was great too. So you got those options, but we definitely need another one, and Landon Collins can be that guy. It probably helps us in terms of Xavier McKinney because now we can move him around a little bit rather than just sticking him in the box. He's much more than that, so we can maybe put him more back in coverage and have Landon Collins in the box. It certainly adds different options. It's kind of interesting. We'll see how it goes. Landon Collins is not a coverage guy. He's really not good at that. But he is good as kind of a de facto linebacker. You stick him in the box and you can make things happen.
Yeah, I agree. If you use him kind of in that hybrid role, basically like we were using him before, and we had Jabril Peppers, he was kind of doing the same thing. So at this point, just whatever works and however Wink can use him, I think it's only going to add a different element to our defense that we haven't had so far this year. Multiple guys that can play all over the place. That's what I like. And Wink seems to use it well so far. Even with the injuries, the defense has been just fine. So adding Landon Collins in the mix, and when we get Azeez back and we're even more healthy, hopefully we get some more secondary help back in the coming weeks, we can see this defense really start to come together to what we expect it to be. But so far, so good, and I think getting Collins back only adds to that. So I'm excited to see what Wink is able to bring to the table I'm excited to see what Collins brings to the table in a Wink Martindale defense.
Does that mean that Jefferson's now defunct? Is he going to still have a role, do you think, or do you think we're moving on from him?
Well, with Flott and Robinson both out, it's possible we do add both of them to the active roster this week. And then when Flott comes back, somebody has to go, and it might be Jefferson. I'm not entirely sure about the entire depth because has Pinnock been playing a lot lately? He's a special teams guy, so
Pinnock is another safety. We're pretty loaded at safety.
We are.
It'll be interesting. I think we should probably check out the injury report because obviously I assume that Moreau will be the outside corner, our number 2 outside corner. Do you know about have you got our injury report?
I will get that in just a moment. I know for a fact that Aaron Robinson is out with Cordell Flott.
Right.
We know what receivers are not playing, which is the entire depth chart.
Yeah, I got Cordell Flott out, Galladay out.
Yeah. Henry Mondo, Azeez Ojulari, Wandale Robinson, Tyrod Taylor, Kadarius Toney. The only one listed as questionable is Leonard Williams.
Okay. So Moreau had to fill practice, so he's fine because he was limited through the week. So that's good news. Evan Neal practice full. Tyrod Taylor's out. He's been out the whole time. Okay. Daniel Jones is a warrior. We'll need to get into him in a minute. Okay, so Julian Love is healthy. Richie James is healthy. Moreau's healthy. That's good. So we're in good shape in terms of the secondary. Obviously, I think it'll be Moreau is our outside corner, and then we can mix and match with the safeties. Plenty of options in terms of pass rush. We'll have Lynx guys are very much kind of, as you say, positionless. You can kind of put them, mix them, matching them around. So kind of excited to see what happens. I think we can cause some problems. I really do.
I think we can too. The Packers' offensive line hasn't been as strong as it has been. Rodgers has had a couple of bad throws. He's had some trouble in a couple of previous games. However, they have won 3 straight, so you have to keep that in mind. They're finding ways to win games.
Yeah, they're not pretty. They're kind of grinded out games, but
right. But having Thibodeau still out there is going to help. Jihad Ward stepped up big this year. Zimenez has been fine this year, and having Leonard Williams back, I think, even not even just in the run game, but in the pass game as well. Getting to the quarterback, Dexter Lawrence has been a monster. Getting to the backfield, and now you get Leonard Williams back. The pass rush is going to have to step up this week. We got to make things very, very difficult for Rodgers out there. And the Packers' inside offensive line is something to take advantage of. Yeah, and that goes back to what I was just saying with Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. Bring the pressure up the middle, and if you can disrupt them, they're going to have to add some extra protection. That can help the guys off the edge. Wink's going to have to be dial it up this week because we know the offense is probably not going to be able to do too much, and it's going to be on the defense, and it's going to be on Saquon to get things done to get a W.
It will, man. What's your prediction? First of all, what would you have as the score for the game?
I still think the Packers take it, though, unfortunately. I just don't know if we have enough to stop them, and I don't know if we have enough to keep up with them if we have to get into a potential shootout. We definitely don't have enough to keep up with them. I don't think it'll come to that, but I believe Green Bay wins it 24-17.
Okay.
And Alex here has 24-13 Packers, so he's right on the same boat there. I have us with a few more points, but relatively low scoring for the Giants in this one.
Okay, now I'm going to go 23-20 between the Packers and the Giants.
He's thinking.
You know what? I'm doing it. 23-20 Giants, and it's going to be freaking crazy.
Heard it here first. You heard it here first. The New York Giants win tomorrow morning, 23-20.
Why not? Why not? We got the coaching. I like the way our defense looks. Our offensive line's healthy. Daniel Jones is healthy. And the Packers receivers aren't too good. So, okay. Why not? Why frickin' not? Let's do it. A little bit different. My prediction's the opposite in the Boys in Big Apple, so I can't lose.
I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Alex is wrong. So if the Giants come out of this one 4-1, I'll be ecstatic, and as will the entire fan base. Considering what we're out with this week, if we come away with the W, then I think the entire fan base is going to have no choice but to start buying Brian Dable gear, Joe Shane gear, whatever you got to do. If you want to start wearing your vest like Wink Martindale, do something. It's going to be all in on the coaching staff if we pull out a win tomorrow morning.
Oh, Mr. Semantics over here.
Imagine that. If they tie, you take 2 L's. That'd be interesting.
Would be pretty confident that won't happen. Not with the legs of Graham Gano. Let's touch on Daniel Jones. He's a warrior, man.
Yeah, took the beating 2 weeks ago in Dallas. Played last week. Wanted to go back into the game despite the coaching telling him not to, and thinking he wasn't going to play tomorrow. Here he is, pretty much guaranteeing to go out there and start. Yeah, and he's missed a lot of games in his career before, but the fact that he is healthy enough to go out there and play, yeah, I mean, we got to give the guy a lot of credit. He's been put through hell so far this year, and we're still 3-1, even with the shaky quarterback play and everything that's gone on around him. I got to tip my cap to Daniel Jones because he's a warrior, like you said. He's going out there and he's tough.
He is a warrior. I'm learning a newfound respect for him this year, which is kind of a big statement for me because I've never been his biggest fan. But this year, a lot of it's to do with the coaching. But he's just fighting. He's always fighting. And I think that the fact that he gets hit and he stands right back up again, there's not a lot of quarterbacks with that kind of heart. He does have heart, this guy. He's got the heart of a warrior. And it makes up for a lot of his limitations as a quarterback. So I'm just going to focus on this year, and we'll see where it takes us. He's kind of playing smarter. Again, I think the coaching staff is very much not let the leash off him necessarily. But within his role, he's doing what was asked of him. Like last week, I thought he played very well last week. You know, I mean, there was no reason for him to stop and throw when he had acres and acres of green ahead of him. All those bootlegs were working. So why go against that? That's what's good about our coaching staff. They're coaching to win, and they're not changing what's working. If something's working, why deviate from it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what's really been good about our coaching staff, because that's not something that we can say about our previous coaching staffs preceding Coughlin. So that's what's been really good. I like that. And it was in particular Jones. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with him in the future, but in the here and now, I'm gaining a lot more respect for him. The fact that he hurt his leg and he couldn't really walk, and he was on one leg, and he was desperate to get back on the field. And even though he couldn't really throw or run for an entire basic series, they set him up on the outside in order to complete the Wildcat formation, and he blocked like an absolute demon out there. And this guy's got a heart of a champion. So even though I don't think he's got the ability of a champion, he's got the heart of a champion, and that's not any small feat, really. So I've certainly gained a lot of respect for him, a lot more respect for him, and I'm gonna, as Alex just says here, has a lot more heart than some folks on this team. 100%, he really does. He's leading this team right now, and I think from what I understand, a lot of people in the locker room have gained even more respect for him. They've always ridden with number 8, but I think they've got even more respect for him now with the way he has been over the last couple of weeks, where he's taken a beating and he stands right back up again. He's trying to lead this team to win. So I'm certainly have a lot more respect for him. Very, very happy that he's healthy against the Packers. That's why I've given us a chance to win this game. If it wasn't him, we got no chance. So again, it shows to the respect that I'm having of him, the fact that he's healthy. I'm thinking, you know what? Why not?
No, I think you're right. I mean, everything you just said is spot on 100%. And I think I know who Alex is alluding to when he says than some folks on the team, because once again, we are without first-round pick receiver from last year, Kadarius Toney. He's out again. He injured his other hamstring during practice, trying to come back from his other hamstring being hurt. I've been positive with him. I've been trying to give him the benefit of the doubt week after week because I know the talent is there. We know what he can be when he's on the field. But he's just never on the field. And I'm a broken record saying this now. I'm still not gonna pull the plug on him. A lot of people are. They're really ripping him on Twitter, and it's forced him to respond in certain tweets. But at this point, you got to be frustrated at least. Even the most positive fans got to be frustrated the fact that he's just not out there. And this is a week that I can understand Wandale missing another game, right? Because he had that knee injury and he didn't know. But even he was closer to playing this week than Kadarius Toney. Nick Gage just returned to practice from a career-threatening injury, and Kadarius Toney is still not seeing the field. At what point do we start to really question? I know this wasn't Shane's pick, it wasn't Dable's pick, but at what point do we say enough is enough and they just try to move him? I don't think that's going to happen just yet, but we got to see him on the field because – even as a supporter, and I know a lot of people still support him, and the guy's trying to be positive, the frustration setting in there. We want to see him on the field. It sucks that he's hurt. I don't want to see him be one of those cases of what could have been with us, but my goodness, man, get on the field, please.
He's cooked, man. He's your grandmother's Thanksgiving turkey as far as I'm concerned. He is cooked. The brother is cooked. I hate to say it. I've pulled the plug on him. First of all, I'm not the first one to pull the plug on him. I'm pretty sure the coaching staff's pretty much pulled the plug on him because they ain't too keen on him either. The reason why is because we've already heard very heavy, giant-oriented podcasts being critical of him. That doesn't come out of nowhere. So it's a shame because his talent is unbelievable. He's so shifty. He's got moves like a gear stick on a PlayStation. You know what I mean? He's got all kinds of moves in his locker. He's fast. He can play on the outside. He can play all kinds of different ways to help your team, but he can't get in the field. If it's not one hamstring, it's the other hamstring. If it's the other hamstring, it's the other hamstring. If it's not those, one is both. I mean, at this point, it's done, man. It sucks. The first-round pick's a wash. It really is, because he's not going to be here next year. I'll bet my bottom dollar on it. If he is here at the start of camp next year, I would be shocked. That's the truth. Because what good is he if he's never going to be healthy? And he's not going to be healthy next week either. You know, and then what point? Midway through the season, and he's played like 2 snaps. If it's not, you know, if it's not his hand, it's the other hand. If it's both hands, it's every hand. Everything's done. Like, dude is falling apart. He's a Mr. Glass.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. At this point, the only way he's with us next year is if he gets healthy. Let's say in 2 weeks' time, he's healthy and they use him because they have no other options and he balls out. That's the only way he stays. And they say, okay, we got a plan for this guy. And he stays healthy throughout the rest of the year whenever he comes back. That's the only way he stays at this point. And it sucks because they gotta have to get rid of him. And there's no sense of keeping him right now if he's not playing. And I hate saying that because we talked about it already plenty of times, just how talented he is. It's such a shame. It really is.
It's a waste of a talent. And it's also a waste of a first-round pick. There's so many other directions we could have gone on, even if we didn't select Parsons and we traded down. He had red flags coming out of college. let's not pretend that he was squeaky clean coming out of college. There were some questions about his temperament, how much he loved football, how much he really wanted to work and get better and learn and really study film tape and all this stuff. He had some things off the field too. He didn't have the cleanest resume, and for all his talent, I didn't love the pick even from the start because I didn't think that we had the system that would fit him, and B, I was concerned about that type of quarterback as wide receiver fitting in. His talent's there, don't get me wrong, and I love seeing him play, but we never see him play. So what's the freaking point? So it's very, very upsetting because we really need him. If we had him, imagine how good this team would be right now.
No, you're right. You're right. And it's him and it's Kenny Golladay, two guys that just have not been seeing the field since last year. And it's very possible now that they both finished their 2 seasons in New York Giant uniforms without a touchdown. And that's almost embarrassing. I mean, it is embarrassing, the fact that they could go 2 seasons without seeing the end zone. So the receiving issue is an absolute mess. Let's just put it that way. The receiving core is a mess right now. We have, I think, 3 healthy receivers that are on the roster, and Slayton, Sills, and James, and they could call some random up from the practice squad. Like we mentioned it earlier, but not having Tony, I really thought he'd play this week. And I think getting Wandale back hopefully next week can open things up. Maybe that's why they took him. You said it before. Maybe they took him because they didn't want – Tony wasn't their guy, but they took a guy that's very similar in his skill set in Wanda Robinson. Maybe they like Wandale more than Tony in this offense. I don't know, but at some point they got to figure it out what they're going to do, but he has to be healthy because you can't trade an injured player. No one's going to trade for him. So he has to be healthy. And when he is, they got to find a way to utilize his talents. That is, if he ever does get on the field.
And that takes us to Wanda Robinson, who has seen the field about as much as Kadarius Toney has this year.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, I mean, my God, listen, Wandale Robinson, he's hurt all the time as well. So it's not like our new regime's receiver choice is not much better, considering Tony's a much better player in every way, shape, and form, in my opinion. It's just this has not really worked for Tony because he's hurt all the time. Wandale Robinson just looks like he's undersized. At least Tony's got the build. He's a strong dude. Just his hamstrings are made of, I don't know what, blue tack or something. So I think Rob's got some sort of issue going on behind the scenes. So we'll move on. Anybody in the chat want to ask us any questions? That would be great. We will move on to the next point. So listen. Our receiver thing is up in the air. We don't know what we got with receiver. But I really wish we had as many receivers as we do hybrid linebackers / safeties. I would love that. I would love that because we got a plethora of hybrid safeties that we can choose from. But listen, the Giants are in good shape. I'm excited. Whatever happens, even if we lose, I'm excited. We're 3-1. We're gonna go to London. We'll see how it goes, and even still, it's a very favorable next few weeks, even after the Packers. I like our schedule. Who knows? There's a chance. There's a chance that we can even make the playoffs. It's crazy to say. I know I'm not jumping the gun. I have to take everything on a week-to-week basis, but I'm very positive right now about where we're at. I truly trust Shane and especially Dable, and I love Martindale, and Kafka is doing a hell of a job with the limited resources that he's got offensively. He's masterminding an offense which is allowing us to go 3-1. And first of all, I am very sick of all this negative attention that the Giants are getting. Why can't, instead of just saying, oh, this is the worst 3-1 team of all time, blah, 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 why not just say a team which was meant to be in the lottery, and the fact that they're 3-1, their coaching staff deserves credit. Saquon deserves credit. Even Daniel Jones deserves credit. Whoever you want to give credit to, they should be more complimentary instead of just saying, "Oh, this team's terrible. How the hell are they 3-1? They're frauds." I just think I think that's desperately unfair, and it just shows that there's no winning.
No,
You're
there's right.
No if the Giants were 1-3, it'd be like, the Giants continue to suck. The Giants suck. Everything's a disaster. The new coach hasn't done anything, right? But they're 3-1. They're like, they still suck. So how are we supposed to win? There's no winning.
You're right. If we were 1-3, we're 0-4, they'd say same old Giants, right? New coach, same old shit. We're 3-1, and it's the worst 3-1 team in football. We're the worst 3-1 team in football history. We can't win. So I think the Giants have that mentality. It's kind of us against the world. We're 3-1, and no one's giving us credit. I mean, people are putting the Jaguars ahead of us in power rankings. They're saying that teams that are like 2-2, 1-3, they're better than the Giants. Well, you know what? Fine. If you want to give us no credit, then we're going to go out there and we're just going to force you to give us some credit. Maybe that's what they're going to do this Sunday. Let's see. Alex here says Giants should come out 2-2 in the next 4 weeks. Yeah, these are tough games we got coming up here. Packers and Ravens, but then there's 2 winnable games. I think it's Jaguars and Lions, or is it Jaguars and Texans? But look, there's a potential.
Texans, that's a walk in the park.
Look, the schedule is favorable for a winning record at the end of the year. That's what I've said from the start. The division games are always up in the air. And Philly looks like a tank right now. Dallas, really obviously, Dallas has had our number, but this is a favorable schedule for us to win a lot of games that we normally wouldn't win. And it's going to give this team confidence. And if they come out, even if they don't win tomorrow and they just play sound football and they play a tough team, this is a team that even with the receiving core being depleted, people still think the Packers are the elite of the NFC. So if we come out and play tough against them and maybe even squeak out a victory, it's going to force people to think a little bit differently about this New York Giant team. And if we do that with an injured quarterback, no receivers, and an injured one of our best defensive players on the injured list right now, and Azeez Ojulari, what are the excuses going to be? What are they going to say? Well, Rodgers has nobody to throw to. Well, Daniel Jones literally has no one to throw to.
100%. So, after the Packers and the Ravens, it's the Jags, then the Seahawks and the Texans.
Seahawks, okay. Winnable games.
The Seahawks and the Texans is very winnable. In fact, I'd be very disappointed if we're not 2-0 after those 2 games. Jaguars are very good. They're surprising me, to be fair. They've got a legit offense now. Excuse me. And the Ravens and the Packers, well, that's not too good either. But listen, we'll see. Lions, I'm surprised at how easily they're scoring. They're looking pretty good too, but their defense kind of stinks. So there's no – I mean, even the Ravens aren't too good this year, apart from Lamar Jackson. He's phenomenal, but they look a little bit under strength. So there's no reason why we can't cause problems to all those teams. So we will take it a week at a time. Don't want to jump ahead. I know I'm starting to jump ahead because I'm excited, but we'll take it a week at a time. There's not a matchup there which we can't, where we say we've got absolutely no chance. I mean, I'm fairly sure we'll lose to the Ravens. Packers, we've got a better chance, I think, of beating the Packers than we do the Ravens, but we will see. The Jags, we'll see. There's a 50-50 chance there. Seahawks, we should win. And the Texans, we have to win. So, because they legit suck. So,
yeah, I mean, going into the season, I kept saying 7 to 9 wins, and I'm still sticking. I still think we can finish with around 9, maybe even 10. I don't want to jump, but that the 3-1 start has helped jumpstart that, because I didn't think we were going to beat Tennessee. So that adds an extra win to my total, which could put us at 9 or 10, which would be fantastic, because that tells me that whatever they're doing is working. Because remember in 2020, even though we were excited about what Joe Judge brought to the table in terms of toughness, and the team was playing tough. They were still losing games. Now we're winning games that we would have lost in previous regimes. So there is reason to be excited. And if we just play tough and give the Packers a good game, then people are going to say, look, the Giants are not there yet. And that we know that. We know that as fans. We're excited right now because we're 3-1, because we haven't seen a winning record through 4 games and since dinosaurs roamed the earth. But here we are, 3-1. And if we just keep playing good football, it's going to start saying to people are going to start having to start recognizing us as maybe not a legit threat, but a team not to be messed with. Because people were saying, oh, you're playing the Giants. That's a get-right game. It's an easy W. They got nothing. They don't have to worry about the Giants. Now when you say, okay, it ain't going to be an easy win, so just put that respect on our name a little bit. We're still 3-1. It's in the NFL. It's the NFL. It's never easy to win. We've seen crazier things this year. The Jets have won 2 games. No one thought they would win, right? Why can't the Giants have anything right? Why can't we have anything good? We're 3-1 and people still want to knock us down. So you know what? It's us against the world, basically. And I think the team has that mentality because they kept saying after last week, 1-0, 1-0. Like it was week 1. They got to restart. They lost against Dallas. And they said, okay, let's hit the reset button. It's 1-0, week 1 mentality. And I hope they do that every week. Not saying we're going to win every game, but it tells me that this new regime has got this team thinking differently, and I love it. I'm all for it. I'm all in.
I'm all in too. So touch on the London game coming up. Just reading an article here, the Giants were in awe as they arrived at the practice field in the English countryside. There was nothing but green meadows and rolling hills for as far as the eye could see. And nestled at the bottom of one of those hills, a football field. Even for meetings, we did a walkthrough. It just feels like we're in a movie. Everything looks super nice. Everything looks super clean. Just feels like like we're in a movie. It feels really fun. Daniel Jones, you walk down the hill and there's pastures, there's a golf course, and all of a sudden you see a football field. This is pretty cool. People are talking about how nice people are over in London. Dexter Lawrence says it's very peaceful. A lot of fields and ponds and stuff. Well, listen, I live in the UK, and there is a lot of that stuff. So London is a very fun town. I've spent a lot of time in London. There's a lot of touristy stuff that you can do as an American, but it's very fun. There's a good fashion scene. There's a good nightlife, and I'm sure the Giants are going to dabble in both of those things. So it's definitely a fun town. I'm sure they're going to be. I know I saw photos of the GOAT Eli Manning outside Buckingham Palace. So yeah, I think the Giants are going to certainly enjoy this weekend. No reason why not. As I say, London really go all out. It's a big deal for them. They really don't miss a beat. Like you get out of the big train station and there's a giant logo of one of the NFL teams which is playing that week. So I guess there's going to be a giant NY. They're in Piccadilly Circus, which is the center of London. There's all kinds of NFL activities to do and be a part of. I certainly took part in some of those things. There's cheerleaders and all kinds of things. And yeah, it's fun. It is fun. It's a lot of fun. So I'm sure the Giants are going to enjoy the weekend as well. This is a home game for the Packers, says Matt. Yeah, so that works in our favor because if we were in Lambeau, I'd give a 0 chance. But in neutral ground, why not? There's no reason why not. And maybe the sense of occasion might suit the Giants. They're gonna play like it's kind of I don't know, what would you call it? Like a playoff game. You know what I mean? It's different.
No, I think you're right. It is a big deal. And, going back to the last 2 London games we played, they were both ugly. They weren't pretty victories, but they were victories. So maybe we could be in line for another one. Just saying the last 2 times we were in London, we did make the playoffs. So yeah. If we win again, maybe the stars are aligning for the Giants to surprise some people this year. Alex says if the Giants finish the season like 8-9 wins, this regime cannot overinvest. Got to continue the rebuild, unlike what happened in 21. Absolutely. That's the mistake that Gettleman made. They saw a 6-10 season. They were like, oh, that we're close. We almost won the division, which was a terrible division, and they invested heavily. They spent money that they did not really have, and a lot of the moves I liked. Adoree Jackson was a good signing.
That was a good signing. It still is a good signing. That's
still
one
absolutely
that has
is.
worked out.
But it put us in the position that we're in right now, where they have zero cap space, and they're kind of like scrummaging to find pennies under the couch to sign some players. So that's the position we're in. So
did you check your couch? Because we really need Odell Beckham. So if you could donate a couple of bucks, I will.
Start a GoFundMe for the New York
Giants.
Cap space.
Anybody in the chat, Alex, I'm sure, Matthew, let's put some dollars aside and let's send it over to make it the Odell Beckham fund, because we desperately need a receiver.
We need about 3 of them right now, because it is desperate times for the New York Giants receiving corps. But we'll see what they do. I'm excited to see what Kafka draws up, and I think Dable's going to have a big part in the offensive scheme this week, because it can't all be Saquon, because then they're going to just run him into the ground. And he's been way too good for us to afford to give him like 30, 40 carries in this game. So we're going to see a lot of Matt Breida, I think, a lot of tight ends, and maybe some quick throws to guys like Richie James, or I don't know if they even try a deep play down the field with Slayton, because he failed with that last week. They got to be creative, and we'll see what they draw up. If Jones is healthy, 100% healthy with that ankle, then we're going to see a lot of bootlegs like we did last week, and they're going to utilize his.
I don't want to do that. No,
right.
I think that would be crazy. Let's just I don't want to overuse him on the ground, because obviously, listen, it's not really the kind of place that I want my quarterback to be doing a lot of running. I don't know quite what the field's going to be like. I know Tottenham does actually have an NFL type ground, but still don't love it. Especially with his leg problem anyway. So I definitely just wanted to air it out. Maybe a couple of runs here and there, nothing too risky. But apart from that, I completely agree. I think we're going to see a lot of Saquon. I think we have to. I think we're going to ride Saquon like Seabiscuit. And I can't see any reason why we wouldn't. He is the man. How good has Saquon been, man? I'm really excited to see more of Saquon.
Best running back in the NFL right now. Leads the league in yards. We're one of the best running teams. I think we are the best running team in football. Saquon has more rushing yards than a lot of teams do at this point this year. So, look, we knew it going into the season. If a healthy Saquon Barkley was going to lead this offense, we knew it. If this offense was going to generate any sort of yardage and points, it was going to be on Saquon Barkley, because we just knew Daniel Jones isn't that guy at quarterback, right? He's not the guy that's going to lead us to a bunch of points. It's going to be Saquon that gets us down there, and then we can try to finish off the drive with a few touchdowns through the air or running the ball, whatever. But Saquon is what makes this offense go. And as long as he's out there, we got a chance. That's how I'll put it. As long as he's out there, we got a chance, because he can do things that a lot of people can't in the NFL. We saw it last week with that third down play that he turned into a 20-yard gain that should have been a 7-yard loss.
To me, that's my favorite play of the year so far. He was dead to rights, man. 10-yard loss, and he somehow managed to spin around. He saw the gap and just went for it while running across the other side of the field. That was an unbelievable play. Yep. This is a different runner. He's a better back than he even was in his rookie year. Smarter runner. So I'm excited to see more of Saquon.
Me too, and hopefully the Giants come out with the W. Should we get into our picks for the week?
Let's do it. I'm excited because I just checked my week 5 pick. I had the Colts. Yes. I went against the Broncos, and I was right. So I know Alex won't be happy about that, because he actually went for the Broncos. So Alex takes the loss already for week 5. But yeah, let's get into our picks for the rest of the week. First question to you, though, is where were you when you watched the worst football game of all time in the Broncos-Colts?
I was doing anything but watching that. I was playing playing some NBA 2K. I was not watching that absolute dog shit matchup. It had people begging for an Aaron Judge live look-in. As much as people complained about all the look-ins for Judge's at-bats, they were saying, I could surely use one right now. That's how bad that game was Thursday. Awful. Awful
so
football.
True. Dude, I can watch any football game. Any. You could line up a bunch of hillbillies versus, I don't know, against the Little Sisters of the Poor on prime time, and I'd watch it because it's football, and I'm obsessed with football. I can watch any kind of football. But I couldn't watch that. And that really says something to me because I can watch anything. I can watch two of the worst college teams for 6 hours, and I can do it. But I couldn't watch the Colts and the Broncos. I just couldn't bring myself to watch Russell Wilson play so shitty. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, missing wide open men to the point where KJ Hamler looked like he wanted to strangle him. Matt Ryan, exactly the same. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, identical passing yards and passing attempts. Just horrific. Nobody could do anything on the ground. Nobody could do anything in the air. It was a spectacular joke of a game right there. 12-9. Are you freaking kidding me? So I'm really glad that was on Thursday night because, maybe they just need to stick all the shitty games on Thursday night now. I think that's what they're going to do. And it's another shitty game on Thursday night as well. Isn't the Commandos playing? Aren't the Communists playing on Thursday night?
I believe so. I think it's Bears and Commanders next week. If I'm not mistaken.
Bears and the Communists. Oh, yeah. That's another matchup that I can happily miss. So I'll just make sure I'm watching anything else on a Thursday night. Maybe watch some more Game of Thrones maybe on Thursday. Anything really. So we've done our Packers-Giants picks. Rob, you've got the Packs. I've got the Giants. Okay. Right, next one. Patriots Lions.
We'll take the Lions in this one. I think they should be able to stop Bailey Zappi because I don't think Mac Jones is back yet.
Nope, he's not back. More Zappi and less Winnie. So I completely agree with you. I'm going to go Lions. Browns and Chargers.
Man, that's a good one, actually. It all depends on Justin Herbert. How back is he? I'm going to go with the Chargers.
I'm going to go with the Chargers as well. Obviously, Chubb's fantastic. But, the Chargers have Eckler, and they got Herbert. They got a better quarterback. The Browns quarterback situation is still kind of up in the air, kind of shitty. So I feel pretty good about the Chargers in this game. Plus, they kind of have to win. They've not been that great this year. So there's a lot of pressure on them winning. So I think they'll do it. Jags, Texans.
Jacksonville.
Yep. Completely in agreement with you there. I think the Jags are looking like a proper NFL offense now with the new coaching staff change. They actually look like a competent team as opposed to a total atrocity. Buccaneers and the Falcons.
Who would have thought that this would have been for first place in the division? I still don't think the Falcons are going to take out the Bucs just yet, so give me Tampa Bay.
Exactly agree with you there. I don't think you could possibly go against Tampa Bay in this one, but I would sure love to change because considering we're all going to have the same score at this rate, apart from you're probably more likely to win the Giants-Packers matchup, but at the moment we've got exactly the same. Bills and Steelers. Oh, well, more of the same.
More of the same there, yeah.
Yep. I mean, you'd have to be out of your mind to, especially the way that the Steelers sucked against the Jets. So
yeah.
I don't even know who they're going to have throwing the ball. Are they going to go with Pickett or back to that joke of a quarterback?
You got to roll with Pickett at this point.
Yeah. I mean, oh, my God. I can't believe they signed that joke of a quarterback. I can't even name him. He's that shit. Jets, Dolphins.
This one's interesting.
It is.
Because
Tua's
Teddy
out.
Bridgewater, Tua's out, but Teddy Bridgewater is a fine backup.
Yep.
And this is still the Jets, and they always seem that whenever the fans are like riding high and they're like, "Oh, hey, there's some confidence here. We came back and beat the Steelers," then they blow it. So I picked the Jets last week. I'm going to pick the Dolphins this week.
Oh man, you out there. Okay, I thought that was a surprise. Okay, so you're going Dolphins. So I've been basically voting against the Jets since week 1, and they've surprised me, getting a couple of wins. With Tua out, they don't have a great running game. I think that am I going to say this? I'm going to go Jets.
He did it. We have a different pick, ladies and gentlemen.
Finally. I still don't think it's a wise one. I should have gone Dolphins. The Dolphins are a much better team. It's just maybe the quarterback situation might work in the Jets' favor. Vikings and Bears.
Oh, man. See, the Vikings should run away with this one. Because the Bears just look bad. But Kirk Cousins does not look great to me.
Nope.
But they also have Dalvin Cook, so I'm going to take the Vikings.
Oh, well, here we go. Is there any conceivable way that I can go with the Bears? No. Okay.
Maybe if they were home. Maybe.
So we're all in agreement there. Can we ever get to a different Commandos Titans?
Titans are only a 1.5 favorite here on the road. Carson Wentz is, last week he looked a lot like Carson Wentz. It was the week before that he was getting smacked around by Philly. But I think at home, I think Washington takes it.
Thank God. I can now go with the Titans. I am never, ever, ever, ever going to pick the Commandos all year long. That I can guarantee. I do not like that team. So let's go Titans. Saints, Seahawks, another inauspicious matchup. Who you got?
Oh, man. Andy Dalton versus Gino Smith. Gino Smith's having himself a hell of a season so far. And I think Seattle.
Really is. He's balling out, man.
He's doing a hell of a job. I got to give him credit. They're 2-2. No one would have thought it 4 weeks into the season. If Penny plays and they have a really good chance to win, I think the Saints are going to take this one in the dome, though.
Saints are starting Andy Dalton, and Michael Thomas is out. Does that change anything for you?
No, I'll stick with my pick. Probably wrong, but I'll stick with my pick.
To play against the Seahawks. Okay, they got Kamara back, but they're very short-handed. Seahawks are playing better. The Saints are 1-3, and they're really struggling without. I'm starting to talk myself into the Seahawks. So you're going to go Saints. Okay, I'm going to go Seahawks. Okay. Panthers, 49ers.
49ers. I mean, Matt Rule and the Panthers just look bad.
You're right. I mean, that's I can't see any scenario where the 49ers don't win. The 49ers look so much better with Jimmy G.
Yeah, and there was talk that they wanted to get rid of him this offseason. Everyone thought he was going to go to the Giants. People thought he was going to go to Pittsburgh, wherever it may be. Here he is, though, balling out so far.
I mean, he's not a great quarterback. He's very much mediocre, but what he is, he's a winner. They don't lose very often when he quarterbacks. Whether it's in spite of him or because of him, mostly it's in spite of him, but it doesn't matter. The win-loss record is overwhelmingly in Jimmy Garoppolo's favor, so he can't be that bad. Just saying, he's not a great quarterback. You're never going to win because of him, but he's certainly going to do enough, in my opinion, to get you over the top in many games.
So far, so good for him. I mean, he's got 3 touchdowns to 1 pick, over 600 yards, and that's only in 3 games, so not too shabby from Garoppolo.
I'm not a Trey Lance fan either. I'm sorry that he got hurt, but I think the better idea was always to go with Jimmy G. Okay. Cardinals, Eagles.
Philly looks like a runaway train right now, so.
Yeah, they really do. I'm going to go through who I went with. I actually went with the Cards, so I'm going to do that. Just even though the Eagles do look like a runaway train, I am going to go with the underdog on this one. Rams and the Cowgirls.
The Rams really disappointed me. Matthew Stafford looks like he took a complete turn for the worse this year. The offensive line has let them down.
Yep.
There's only so much that defense can do. The Cowboys are riding on an incredible high right now because Cooper Rush is undefeated. First Cowboy quarterback in their history, I think, to start his career 3-0. I might be wrong about that. But I think Dallas steals one over in L.A.
Okay.
I hate picking.
I am going to go L.A. because they can't lose. It would just be a disaster for them if they lost. They're already off to a pretty poor start. They have to get themselves together at some point. They're 2-2. It's pretty terrible. They kind of got their lunch handed to them the week before. That's going to be embarrassing for them. They're not that bad a team. They haven't had a good offseason. Robinson's tanked. Trading away Robert Woods hasn't worked out. They look a little short at receiver in the slot. But their biggest problem is offensive line. They didn't address the offensive line. And Stafford is getting hit hard. And he's not a good quarterback when he's not given time in the pocket. They have to manufacture a scheme in which they can find a way of getting him open, even if it's tight ends chipping a little bit to allow him another another second to throw the ball. Then I think you'll see a better team. Cowboys defense is legit though, so I think it's gonna be a fun game. I'm still gonna go with the Rams though. They kind of have to win. Ravens, Bengals. This is a fun game. I like this game. Sunday night.
Bengals are starting to turn things around. But Lamar Jackson is on a mission this year. I think at home, Sunday night, big game, division matchup, first place on the line here. Gonna take the Ravens.
Wow. That's a fun game. I'm just worried about – I just don't think there's enough weapons for my man Lamar. With Duvernay, Bateman, that's it. Obviously, Andrews is a monster, but their running back situation, Dobbins is okay, but he's hurt a lot. It's not a great situation. And he's doing everything himself, Lamar. And their defense isn't as good as it was. So the Bengals are starting to come out of their early kind of slump. They've started to look a little better lately. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think they've got a little bit more about them. But I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it should go right down to the end, and I think it'll be like 3 points either way. But I think we're going to go Bengals. And finally, the Chiefs and the Raiders. Another great game, Monday Night Football.
the Raiders need it, but the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes just continues to find ways, no matter who's at receiver. At home, big game, another big game, prime time, Kansas City. Can't pick against them.
Yep. Can't go against them either. I made the mistake of going against them against Tampa, and they lit up Tampa like it was a walk in the park. They destroyed them. So I think the Chiefs are legit. I think they really are. Their defense looks a little better. Their offensive line's been fine, and Mahomes doesn't look like he misses Hill too much because he's just focusing on Kelsey, and this seems to be working pretty well for him. So. And you're right about Elair, man. You did say watch out for Elair this year. Elair is a different running back. So one of your earlier predictions is definitely looking good.
I'm glad I'm right about that one. I liked him coming out of the draft, and I just don't think people were talking about him enough. And I'm figuring without Tyreek Hill, they might feature him a little bit more in this offense. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Alex, we did not make any predictions for the game just yet besides the score. So if that's how we want to end this with our in-game predictions.
In-game predictions. Okay, let's do that. First touchdown in the game for the Giants.
I mean, it's got to be a running. It's got to be Saquon. But I'm going to get a little different, a little creative. I think it's going to be Matt Breida gets the first touchdown.
Breida. Okay, Rob. Breida. I am going to go with trusty Bellinger.
And Alex has Saquon Barkley.
I can see a scenario where Saquon takes them to the 2, and then they do a rollout and an easy little toss to an open Bellinger at the goal line for an easy TD. But it was Saquon that did all the work. I can sort of see that, but that's my prediction. We will see. Obviously, Saquon Barkley is the safer choice of the 3, I would say. Okay, Rob, what should be our next prediction?
Who will lead the team in receiving yards? That's an interesting one.
Ugh, I felt a little bit sick to my stomach there. Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. They're gonna do what they did in Carolina against Carolina last year. I'm gonna go Bellinger on this one.
So Rob's on my wavelength with Bellinger.
Alex says Tanner Hudson.
Alex says Tanner. I'm gonna go. I mean, pretty safe at this point. Richie James. You'll probably get the most targets. I can't see. Who else could it be? Yeah, that's about it. So yeah, okay. Or Saquon Barkley. Saquon might be the guy, but I'll go with James. Okay, next one.
How many total yards will Saquon Barkley finish with?
Okay, Saquon. Okay, Rob, you go first.
I'll give him 130.
Alex, 145. I'm going 155.
Kind of gonna have to use him as much as possible.
Yep.
He might need 200 for us to win this game.
Quite possibly. Okay. The next. Okay, so turnovers. Who gets the first turnover?
Well, considering our defense is not getting interceptions, I think this will be the first week that we get one because Rodgers has been a little INT prone this year, more so than he has in the past. So, you know what? Landon Collins in his first game back gets an interception.
Okay.
Watch him not even play.
Moreau. I'm going to go with Dory Jackson, although I'm thinking about McKinney as well. But I'm going to go with Jackson. And I guess the final one.
How many sacks did the team finish with?
Yes, that's the one.
We had 6 last week, which was our best. We're down to Z's.
So, check this. You might want to change your prediction.
Okay. Well, you know what? Okay, I'll change it to Darnay Holmes.
Okay. Sacks. Alex has 2.
I'll go 4.
Rob has 4. I'm going to go 3. Safely in the middle between them. We're not really getting a lot of sacks, but we're getting a lot of pressures. But I think we could maybe get to 3. But 2 is probably the most likely. Well, I think that is us for our predictions. We shall wait and we shall see.
Certainly will be interesting to see how it goes, and probably by this time tomorrow we might have the finished game. I think about 3 hours or so, and depending on if there's some kickoff festivities, who knows. But around this time tomorrow we should be either done with or getting very close to the game being finished. So hopefully the Giants get a victory on our Sunday mornings. Get your coffee, whatever wakes you up, and get ready to watch some football early on. It should be a fun one over across the pond in London. But that is going to do it for us here at Nerd and Out Sports. Rob and Donald. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. Be sure to hit that like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell whenever we do go live, which we will be going live probably tomorrow at some point to break down the game, whether it's a victory or a loss. We'll have it all for you right here. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the comments, Alex and Matthew, of course. Thank you for popping in as always. We will see you all next time. Let's go Giants.
Let's go Big Blue. Thank you. Peace out.